I'm going to be replacing the battery in my old iPhone SE. This is a first generation. I believe it's from 2016. I use it to do my videos. So today, obviously, I'm using a different phone, but this is the one I like the best. So iFixit has kits. You can get the battery and the tools to replace the device. So I picked this setup. It was like $30, I believe. And the battery itself was $25, so I figured why not? $5, I'll get the kit. So here's the toolkit. When you buy something from iFixit, like a battery or whatever, it gives you, I'm not sure how well this will come out, it gives you the information to actually do it. As long as it's in their memory of whatever, their stock of information, it gives you the step-by-step guide on how to do it if you don't know how to do it, and a video. So I totally recommend watching the video before you do anything with this. So let's give this a try. First thing we gotta do, remove those pentalobe screws. And they're little. Go from the side. We're gonna make sure we got a good grip in the back. Okay, and then push it closed. It's gonna spread out a little bit. You don't want it to go over the button. Alright, let's try that. And it says to go 360 degrees, but be careful. There are wires and things in here, and you don't want to rip anything apart. So let's see what we can do. It says to go slow, clockwise. And it is starting to come up. So the next thing, once we get it separated a little bit, is, see that harness right there? Next we need to unhook the harness. So it says next step is to disconnect the home button cable connector, which is this thing. Again, I don't know how much you can see of it. It's this little silver, just like that. And for everybody that's wondered, why do I have a jug of milk here? For that. Okay. So next we have two 1.6 millimeter Phillips 000 screws connecting the metal battery connector. Alright, little tiny screws, bracket. This right here says it's the battery connector. Okay. So the next step, we're going to take out 4 screws, but every one of them is different. So this screw right here, and it says this is the front panel assembly cable bracket. Right. So this screw is a Phillips 1.7 millimeter 000. This screw is a 1.2 millimeter Phillips 000 screw. This screw is a 1.3 millimeter Phillips 000 screw. And this one is a 1.7 millimeter Phillips screw. And it says, be really, really careful. Do not mix them. If you put the wrong height one in the wrong place, it's going to cause a hell of a lot of problems. So be very, very careful. Alright, next step is take off this cover carefully. Front facing camera and sensor cable, which should be this side. The next step says make sure the battery is disconnected before you do it, and it is. That's down here. So underneath there's another one, and that's going to go like so. Okay. And next it says disconnect the digitizer. And the digitizer should be this one right here. Okay. So then we can take that off. On the bottom of this battery, there should be some sticky tape with 2 arms kind of looking like this. Well, this side. And I need to unfurl it, it looks like. It says run your spudger between the battery and the headphone jack to unfold the battery adhesive tape. That should be that. Just take a pair of scissors and cut between the two. So if you see here, this is one side, this is the other side. What they want you to do is cut right between the two, so you don't try to pull both of them at once. And it says keep the strips flat and unwrinkled during this procedure. Wrinkled strips will stick together and break instead of pulling out cleanly. And unlike, you've probably seen videos of the newer type, they want you to just take this and just keep pulling straight. That's not what this is telling you to do. This is telling you, one, don't rely on the black part here. When you get it out a little bit, pull on the white part, because this might come off. But also, what they want you to do is pull this side sideways carefully and slide it down the battery as you're pulling. The same with the other side. Be careful, because there are some, I won't say sharp, but square parts all around it. Alright, well, I got one side off. And let's see if we can get the other side off. Okay, well, they said that could happen. If you can't get it with the tape, it says you can try alcohol. And obviously I don't want to break the battery. That's all I need. And that's another point. I recommend you discharge the battery at least to 25%. This one I just left on, so hopefully there's not a whole lot of power in it at all. Alright, and it says just try some alcohol around it. See if we can loosen up some of this sticky stuff. The instructions do recommend, if this happens, you could try some floss, and that might work. The big thing is, I think, being really careful where you're putting your tools. There's a lot of little stuff in here that can really be destroyed. Oi. That was a challenge. Hopefully without damaging anything. Next thing is to clean off where the new battery is going to go. Connect it before you glue the battery down. That way you know where it needs to go. Or it knows where it needs to go. Whatever. And then it's got a little plastic cover on it. Then we have to disconnect the battery again before we put the digitizer and whatnot on. Okay. Alright, this is your digitizer cable. And this lower one goes next. Well, that one was easier. Okay. And then this one over on the end goes next. I got this metal cover plate. Now these are the 4 screws you got to keep in a certain location. But you also have to fight with everything to make sure you get it in properly. Okay, finally got one. Alright, next step is to connect the battery cable, which is this one down here. Okay, got the battery connected, and we have a bracket that goes over that. Okay, and that should go like that. Alright, and then that should go right there. Okay. Alright, so next we're going to use our liberation kit. Replace those two pentalobe screws at the end. Well, that was a nice idea anyway. Didn't work very well. Alright, so we do have power, but it recommends you charge it until it's full, leave it a couple hours, then drain it, then recharge it. So it's totally doable if you have any kind of experience doing this sort of stuff. If you don't, I might be nervous the first time trying it, just because the screws are so tiny, and you really got to be careful, because some of those wires in there, and you know, the cables and everything, they're really delicate. I do recommend one of these, I think it's iClampit or Clampy or Clampy. I think it's a Clampy. That made a big difference. The kit is very good. Has all the tools you'll need. I found that, and I don't know why, the two Phillips screws they gave me to replace the pentalobe screws on the outside did not fit properly. So I actually had to use the pentalobe screws. But otherwise, everything else seems pretty good. Hope you enjoyed this little adventure. It was tricky. If you did like this video, please hit the like and subscribe. And stay tuned for my next adventure.